Hello everyone, welcome to Landian's AMA today. My name is Becca, I'm going to be hosting today, and with us we have our CEO, Austin. Austin, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hey everybody, how you doing? Happy to be here again, and happy to answer any questions that the community has today and bring you up to speed on some of the progress.
So thank you everyone so much for joining us. Remember that the video will be uploaded to YouTube after the AMA, so you guys can still enjoy all the different information that we will have, okay? So for today, we're going to be talking about a couple different things and sharing some important information with you guys. So first, we're going to be talking about a new interview show called Mess, and then we'll be sharing some information about a VIP art gallery, so you guys can have some of that information. We'll also be talking about Landian's governance, along with some other things as well. So, Austin, would you like to just tell everyone what Landian is exactly?
Landian is currently the largest metaverse in the known world. We have roughly in Tier 1, which only represents 0.6% of the total land mass, 720,000 lots available at 10 meters by 10 meters. As we continue to expand, Landian expands at the rate at which its economy is able to stabilize itself, which effectively means that over time, as each tier gets developed, the next one becomes available. That's what Landian is as a whole and encompassing, but as a metaverse, Landian's quite different than a lot of things that are out there on the market. I would consider this the next iteration of the internet, if you want to call it Web 3 or Web 5, completely up to you. We're creating a space where people can not only create things, but they can engage in business, they can interact with each other, they can learn, they can engage with corporations, with governments, anything in between. So we're trying to create effectively a decentralized platform that allows people to build things that are useful and do things that are useful in their daily lives.
So what is your personal favorite thing about Landian? If you have one thing that you're just like, wow, I really love this about Landian.
My favorite thing about Landian, I guess, is that it's an opportunity for everyone to enter in at the same level if they want to. And it gives you the ability to create anything you want without a tremendous amount of knowledge whatsoever regarding crypto, regarding programming, regarding graphics, or anything of that nature. And you can really, truly not only reinvent yourself as an individual through avatars and experiences, but you also have the ability to create your own entrepreneurial experience if you want to, share knowledge with other people completely unencumbered by any outside opinions or anything like that. And it's kind of like a clean slate for the internet if you think about it.
Okay, awesome. Well, very cool. Guys, towards the end of our AMA, we will be opening a space for questions, and we'll have a little contest. The first person, once we get to the question section, the first person that posts a photo or video of you doing the Landian symbol with your hands on, I believe, Twitter, we will design a meta-human for you. So wait for that opportunity, because it's going to be a great opportunity for that person. So we want to announce that we're going to be starting an interview challenge. An interview channel called, it's going to be called MEST, which is Meta, it stands for Meta Streaming. So we're going to be talking to a lot of people in the industry, picking at their brains. They're going to be sharing some information with us on that. And Austin, could you tell us a little bit about the VIP event that is happening?
Sure. So Landian's currently working with Forbes, and we're doing a special VIP gallery event to display some very specific NFTs that have been selected by a curated group of people. We created an entire gallery that's completely immersive. It is a virtual experience made in Landian on Unreal 5. It gives you the ability to walk in, see all of the art pieces. Once you walk up to them, you can click directly to the marketplace where they rest. You have the ability to purchase them at some point in the future if you would like to. Everyone within the space can actually engage with other people. So it's geo-based inside the gallery, and as you get close to someone, you can actually speak to them if you're within a meter of that distance. So no chatting or anything like that, actual voice. We're doing a curated event with them where they're going to be speaking about the metaverse, the future of NFTs and the art world, collectibles and things of that nature. But within the actual space, we've invited a series of VIPs. This is everything from the largest NFT collector in the world all the way down to very large corporations, a couple of gaming companies, some development companies, and everybody's really just trying to get a feel for what you could do inside a space like this virtually, representing NFT art and artists in a way that really allows everybody to engage a bit deeper than they normally would be able to. So the event will be held next Thursday. We did a bit of a test run yesterday to make sure that everything was functioning. And next week it's going to be broadcast live and you'll be able to walk in and take a look. We did limit the space in the beginning for VIP holders, but the event will be restreamed afterwards. And then later on down the line, this is going to turn into either a weekly or a bi-monthly sort of situation.
Okay, very cool. So at the beginning it was more of a closed event, but other people will be able to have access to this in the future. Very cool, excellent. All right, guys, well, we want to just say hi to Nightlife Entrepreneurs. Thank you for joining us, and also cheers from Miami. So thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be asking Austin some questions just so he can share some information about decentralization along with some other things. So, Austin, can you tell us, what does decentralization mean? So I know this might be a term that a lot of people don't understand, or they're like, what does that mean exactly?
Sure,
Could you just explain to us?
So I think everybody has their own definition of decentralization, and I'll tell you mine. It might not be the one that everyone agrees with. In a centralized economy, marketplace, corporation, governor, anything of that nature, you basically have a systematic control of power that is delegated amongst upper level tiers all the way down to lower level tiers, and decision making about whatever it may be is effectively controlled from the top down. And although that can function well in small situations where you're trying to put something together quickly and you need very clear and fast lines of communication, in the long run, it doesn't feel very nice and nobody really has a universal say in anything that's going on. So decentralization as a theory has been around for thousands of years, but the blockchain was really one of the first instances where you could create a systematic approach to controlling decisions and weighing in on how people feel and what their opinion is about any particular thing within that space. And then the community at large gets the opportunity, not effectively to vote, but to drive those decisions in whichever way is possible. Now, this can be broken down in a couple of different ways, from an approach where you're trying to get an entire community to agree about something or maybe understand something. It's kind of a platform that allows everyone's voice to be heard effectively at the same time. There are occasionally some pitfalls to decentralization in that if you have too many people weighing in on too many different topics, then sometimes you might not even be able to solve one of those topics.
Right.
And that becomes a little frustrating sometimes within these spaces. There have been DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, and a lot of other things over the years that have been implemented into blockchain that allow some of that systematic control of the decision-making process to be leveraged and really driven by the people that have the most say. And in blockchain, occasionally that decision is made by people that have the most in their wallet or control the most tokens, which in my mind is not quite a decentralized platform any longer either. So there's a lot to be said about when you allow those sorts of things to happen. But what we're building in Landian is effectively a decentralized community, and that community within each district and within each region will have universal say about what happens, but only if they're making a difference. Just because you have a lot of tokens in your wallet doesn't necessarily mean that you have the best intentions of the community in mind, and we want to be very mindful of that. So every time we go to vote throughout any of the expansion protocols that will exist later on down the line, it's a community-driven effort, and it's certainly not driven by our team, and it's certainly not driven by the people that own the most Landians.
Okay, so the community really has a huge part in
Absolutely.
Landian.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, just that there's a lot of interaction with the community. They can have a say about different things like that, so I think that's really cool that you guys give that space for the community.
Absolutely.
All right. How would you define the role that governance has inside Landian?
I think that this goes back to the decentralization question pretty easily. And effectively, if you're going to drive governance decisions, then again, it shouldn't be driven by anybody that has too much say in one capacity or another. The Landian Foundation as a whole, we don't have access to any of our tokens for a period of 5 years, so it doesn't make a bit of difference for us. We get 20% per year, and that's fantastic if the project goes the way that we want it to, which is exactly why we work so hard every day to make sure that it continues and continues. But ultimately, the governance and the decision-making process within Landian is meant to be delegated amongst the entire community to make sure that the driving factor that's pushing us forward to continue is really a universal process that everyone gets to be involved in.
Awesome. All right. And what is your role inside Landian?
My role inside Landian is I'm a professional problem solver.
Okay, that's a good thing.
I don't really like putting titles on anybody at all, to be honest with you, but my role within Landian is to make sure that everyone is communicating effectively between each team that's building out each portion, that the overall vision of the project is shared equally, that the company culture is universally shared amongst those other principles, and that things flow smoothly and quickly whenever possible. There are always hiccups, there are always things that go wrong, and the ability to communicate with other members of the team and be able to make sure that everybody's working towards a universal mission is kind of what I try and steer every day.
Okay, great. And what was your first thought about Landian?
My first thought about Landian is this is going to take a lot of people and a lot of time to do properly. And I think that over the years, as we've been nurturing Landian and building it out to what it is today, the initial thoughts that I had were really based around this is going to take an entire army, an entire community of people working together to be able to make it into something very useful. And like I said before, Landian is very special to me because it gives people the opportunity to start with something fresh, to have the tools that they need to build out things that are unique and important for them and important for other people, and making sure that we're building something that captures not only that opportunity for people, but we're able to deliver it in a way that's easy to understand and easy to implement. When we started putting those pieces together, it really clicked with everybody amongst the team that this is always going to be bigger than any one person. And no one is ever going to be able to drive this ship in any one direction or another, but as long as we're thinking the same things and we're going down the same intentional routes, then it was going to be fantastic. And that's what I originally thought.
I love that. It's a team effort. You
Absolutely.
know, not just one person can take credit for everything that they've done with Landian. I think that's really, really cool. All right. So who sets the rules in Landian?
So Landian and the community. And the reason that it has to be both is because Landian effectively sets the parameters associated with building things, with what can go into what region, with what can go into what district, and how all of those are going to interact with each other. So we need to make sure that people are building the right things for the area that they're building them, and then outside of that, we need to provide them with the particular parameters that allow them to do so. The community's job is effectively to make decisions around what happens next. So once buildings go into place, once there's shopping malls and stores and concert venues and educational centers and universities, it's really the community's decision to figure out how that is going to push forward for the benefit of everyone. And we get to step in and say, hey, these are our thoughts and our intentions. As long as the community embraces it and everything drives forward the way that it should, then it's really a community-driven effort around the decision-making of expansion, and it's Landian's effort around all of the decision-making for what you have to start with.
All right, awesome. We just want to take some time to say hello to some of you that are here with us. So hello to Jose Monza, nightlife entrepreneurs. Hello guys, thank you so much for joining us. Also proud to be an American. Thanks for joining us again. And also I'm so sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Pistol gripping. Thank you. Also, thank you everyone else for joining us. We're really happy to have you guys here. So we're going to continue with some other questions. Can you tell us a little bit about how the token works in Landian?
Yeah, so the LNDA token is effectively used to secure property, and it's also used to exchange goods and services within Landian. Now, you don't have to only use the LNDA token to exchange goods and services within Landian, but it is the store of value for a lot of the NFT and everything associated with that. So as you know, the tokens are basically delegated into the community, made available to the community based on the rates of expansion of each particular district. And this gives us the opportunity to not effectively control a circular economy, but make sure that the amount of tokens that are needed for that expansion are made available when they are necessary and when they are needed. We don't ever want to be in a situation where there are too many circulating around that could give anybody too much opportunity to swap back and forth or anything of that nature. So it's really more an economy that's based on a standard value, and that standard value is delegated both on the circulating supply as well as the availability of the land.
Okay, awesome. Can you tell us just a little bit, I know you kind of already mentioned this a little bit, but is there anything else you would like to just mention about the difference between a centralized and decentralized platform?
Not really. I mean, again, a centralized platform, I would look at it as here's your big bad CEO, and that big bad CEO delegates responsibility to the C-suite team and to vice presidents and managers and so on and so forth. But a lot of times those decisions are being either driven by CEOs or founders, or more often than not, investors that are driving those decisions based on performance and everything else. Decentralized, again, is everyone getting a relatively equal say in everything that happens for the betterment of the project.
Okay. Guys, the great thing is our CEO from Landian really looks out for the community. So you guys are a super important part of just this whole project, so thank you again. All right, and how can people obtain financing for their projects? So there is a part in the white paper that mentions this. So could you just explain how that works?
Sure. So within the Landian marketplace that's being developed right now, there are multiple options to actually put forth your project and then put forth your services. If you're putting forth a project, let's say you want to put up a stadium, you can put out a request for proposal, and when you put out that request for proposal, designers, architects, builders within the Landian community will be able to either bid on your project and say this is how much I would charge, or they can exchange services with you and say I'll build it for free, or I'll build it for this much, for a percentage of what happens in the future based off of that. Now, taking it a few steps further, because of the size of Landian and because of the way the tiers actually expand, we reward early builders by giving them first right of refusal by a very short window to the next tier when it opens up. That gives people the opportunity to effectively act as a commercial property developer, if you will. And let's say you had a list of companies that were looking for a very specific plot and they needed something that was quite large. You as the land holder or the person that has the rights to buy land before anybody else in the next area would then have the opportunity to go out to the community or anyone within Landian at all and basically say, this is my opportunity. I need this much money, this much Landian in order to come in and secure this contract. And if the community would like to fund that and be rewarded for it as well on a crowdfunding basis, then they can. And that goes everything from buildings to office chairs. It doesn't make a bit of difference. You can run the exact same protocol.
Okay, awesome. So a lot of really cool opportunities for the community to be involved and help each other out in that. And could you just tell us, what is the complexity of managing a decentralized community?
It's only complicated if you haven't built a protocol that allows people an equal opportunity to make decisions. And it's only complicated, again, if there are too many people making too many different choices or recommending too many different changes. And in a lot of ways, the DAOs and other organizations like this really the role of a DAO, in my opinion, is to take all of that power that exists between the entire community and really make sure that they're driving focus. And if we were sitting in, say, a town hall meeting and we were in one space and the entire community was represented inside of that space, and we needed to solve something that was very substantial for that particular week, month, or year. And let's say it's the expansion or the financing of a school within that community. Well, if we go there to vote or to discuss that particular thing, we don't want 17 people getting up beforehand and saying, before we talk about this school, I really want to talk about there's this dog that's been coming on my property, or there's this particular fence that's on government land that I don't like the look of, or I got a parking ticket and I didn't deserve it. Whatever it may be, you need to make sure that there's relative focus associated with that to make sure that decisions get made. And with a decentralized community, you have the ability to drive those decisions very quickly, but you have to make sure that you're doing it in series based on what the overall benefit is for everyone.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Austin. Well, guys, we are officially going to be opening up the opportunity for our contest. So remember, the first person to post either a picture or a video of yourself doing the Landian symbol on Twitter, we will be designing a metahuman for you. So go ahead and do that. Also, if you guys have any questions, let us know. Austin, could you just tell us, will I be able to create more than one metahuman for myself in the metaverse?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You
awesome.
can create multiple metahumans, you can create multiple bits of clothing, you can create multiple anything.
Okay, perfect. And we have some questions here from you guys, from our lovely community. So Jose Monza wants to say, when will aggressive and strong marketing begin to grow the community and investors on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord?
So this has already started, and we've planted a lot of seeds already on the media protocol. There's a rollout for press releases and everything else that are already scheduled throughout the end of the summer. This collaboration that we're talking about with Forbes, as an example, goes out as a press release next week, private invitations, so on and so forth. Throughout the rest of the summer, basically from now until September, we have a team of about 50 people right now that are working on not only the marketing message, but the media engagement and everything else that's going to be happening. And that's effectively leading up to the Expo Crypto here in Medellin that happens between the 6th and the 11th of September, where there's going to be some pretty major announcements that happen during that time as well.
Okay, awesome. All right. Also, Carlos Amador wants to know, does one Landian token equal one vote?
In regards to community vote?
So, I believe he's referring to that. Does one Landian token mean that I get one vote in the community,
No.
or if I have 1,000 Landian tokens?
No. Again, the content in your wallet is relevant, but it is not the only thing that drives factor around decision making for voting. You have to be an active and important member in the community for your vote to count a bit more than somebody else's, or the community has to reference that the topic that you're trying to get solved, it is an important one for everyone within the community itself.
Okay, and who decides which person has more of a say? Does Landian decide that, or
No.
does the community themselves
The
decide
community
that?
decides that, so that's peer reviewed on each particular person based on prior engagement and based on the amount of things that they've done for the community.
Okay, perfect. And Jose Monza wants to know, when launch token in Binance and another exchange. So when will you guys, I believe this means when will the token be available in Binance?
Sure. So we're currently in discussions with 7 different exchanges. We have told every single one of them that we don't want to do anything until basically September, October timeframe, but the goal there is to have tier 2 opened and actual change being made within each one of those districts. A lot of those conversations have progressed to the point where it's basically up to us exactly when we want to push that button, but we don't want Landian to be in a situation where the value of the entire project is dictated by the market that may or may not understand what we're doing. And as someone in the entire team has worked on multiple crypto projects before and have gone into the delves of market making and decision making by exchanges versus by protocols and communities. And we want to make sure that those things are stabilized prior to going out and doing that.
Okay. we have another question here. Can you tell us what the 6 tiers will be and what will the tier 1 be focused on?
So there's 6 districts and there's 4 tiers within those. So
Within each district, there are 4 tiers.
That's correct.
Including the
Yes.
whole. Okay.
Yes. So if we think about a district as a slice of pie, that
Alright.
slice of pie has 4 different tiers, expanding as it goes out, like ripples in a pond, and it gets bigger as it goes.
Okay, perfect, excellent. All right, is there any more information before we close that you would like to just tell everyone or anything else?
I actually want to give a shout out to our community here in-house. The developers and the programmers this past week has been pretty intense, and you guys nailed it. You did an amazing job, so thank you so much for everything that you do. We had days this week where we were literally here for 3 days straight. So it was fantastic, and it was a really big team effort to push through some of the next phases to stay on schedule, and they nailed it. So good job, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. And we just want to announce that Pistol Grip Pete is the winner for our contest. So congratulations. We're going to be designing a meta human for you. So thank you so much for participating. We are so happy to just have all of you guys here. Oh, we have one. No, I think that's all the questions for today. All right, guys, so remember that once every other week on Thursdays, we have our AMA. We just had a couple situations this week, so we had to change it to today. Thank you so much for following us, guys. And again, the video will be uploaded to YouTube after the AMA, so you guys can still enjoy all the information. So thank you again for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.